Hey, GW coming to you live. First of all, I do want to apologize. I was going to do a lot more movie reviews, but we had a death in the family, and I really didn't feel like getting on and you know, doing the reviews the way I should. I just didn't. I wasn't in the mood, guys. And some people know what's going on, some people don't, and we're just recovering from it. So, anyway, today I decided to get up early and rewatch the 1990 remake of Night of Living Dead. A lot of people, this one is a lesser known version of Night of Living Dead. I mean, it's obviously lesser known than the 1968 version that was in black and white, but this version surprisingly takes an old tale and modernizes it, makes it a bit more extreme, a bit more in your face, and I'd like to cover that. First thing that horror fans will notice is the character of Ben is played by Tony Todd. Tony Todd, as everybody knows, or horror film fans know, is famous for the Candyman franchise. Barbara, the lead survivor or the lead heroine, is played by Patricia Tallman. And believe it or not, I mean, she is amazing in this film. She goes from her character goes from meek and humble to becoming sort of a Rambo esque, sort of, you know, kill anything, destroy anything type person. The late Tom Towles plays Harry. You guys remember Harry from the 1968 version, the guy that wanted to stay in the cellar. That conflict between his character, and Ben's character get a little bit more extreme in here, and it's pretty awesome. Also, playing Helen is McGee Anderson. Again, I've never seen her on anything else, but in this film, she was pretty cool. Tom is played by William Butler, and Tom is the character that isn't very bright, but he's willing to help out. And he was in the original one. His wife or girlfriend, they're not really clear, in the movie is played by Kate Finnegan, and she plays a character, or Finneran, I'm sorry. She plays a character called Judy Rose. In the first shot of the movie, horror fans will definitely know this face, Bill Moseley. Bill Moseley's the one with the famous line, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." Perfectly said it. Him and him and Patricia Tallman, their characters share, believe it or not, the same dialogue that was in the '68 version. So it's definitely interesting. Uh, Harry and Helen's daughter in the movie, whose name is Sarah, is played by Heather Mazur. I have never seen her on anything, but she's pretty creepy. Now, this is a kicker. This film is directed by Tom Savini. Tom Savini, as everybody knows, has done makeup for Friday the 13th, Creep Show, a slew of other movies. When I went back and watched this, it almost seemed like every zombie that was in this film, which, by the way, they do not call these things zombies. They don't even call them flesh eaters. They just call them in the movie. Looks like it was designed specifically by Tom Savini. The one thing that is also interesting about this movie is it keeps the location of the original. They say Evans City's 5 miles down the road, Zelianople's about 10 miles down the road, which would put it locally here in Butler County or surrounding Butler County, which is pretty cool. The other thing I liked about this is that it didn't try to deviate from the original screenplay. It actually did a very good job of sticking with the story. The one thing that I did notice when I went back and rewatched this was that the 1968 version just stops at a certain point and you see the still frames. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check out Criterion's collection, Blu-ray DVD, and it's pretty awesome. But when you watch this, it goes a bit further into the ending of the story, and it sort of ends open-ended, but so did the first one. There's a lot to like of this movie. There's a lot of tension between Ben's character and Harry's character about just everything. They argue over everything, guys, and it gets to the point where you question what is the greater danger here. Is it the flesh eaters outside, or is it the conflict inside? They really ratchet up the sense of action and dread in this movie, just like they did in the first one. I mean, once that first undead person appears, it's pretty much floor to the gas pedal. Savini did add a little bit more gore to this, and honestly, if you're looking for gore, when Bill Moseley's character Johnny gets killed, he hits his head on the tombstone, and I watched it. I had to rewatch it twice, and it is the hardest hit onto a cement tombstone, or stone tombstone, I should say, that I have ever seen. Uh, if you like the original, you're going to want to check this out. Now, like I said, this is a lesser known version. There's another version with the late Sid Haig, which is in 3D. I don't remember much about that one. I'll have to go back and rewatch that one at some point. But The Night of the Living Dead, whether you watch the 68 version or you watch this one, it's definitely a classic. And you will notice they do not say the word zombie in any of these. And I know that's the first thing. When you say Night of the Living Dead, you're like, oh, that's that zombie movie. No. It is, but it isn't. And you gotta realize that when the 68 version was done, there was a lot of stuff going on in this country, and George Romero sort of took a look at it, incorporated it in the movie, and that's why it's a classic. But this one, like I said, this one is definitely interesting. If you watch them back to back, I mean, they hyped this one up a little bit. They added some adrenaline, they added some gore. And the storyline, I think this one is more streamlined than the original. Like I said, there's some more gore there. The tension is pretty good. Even the atmosphere. They are in this little tiny farmhouse, and it's nice because it's a secluded movie. It doesn't really deviate from the farmhouse in any way. It's claustrophobic in a way where you don't see the big city, you don't see any of the outlying towns. You don't even see any extra activity till the very, very end of the film. There is, like I said, a ton of stuff to like here. And honestly, Barbara, played by Patricia Tallman, steals the show. And interestingly enough, there is, it's the word I'm looking for, fan service for the original. Like, when I believe the character of Sarah kills the character of Helen in the film in the 1968, she kills her by using a gardening spade. That spade is hanging up. You see it. It's shown about twice. You also get a lot of stuff. A lot of fan service. The one thing you will not see in here is you will not see any campy performances. Everybody takes their role pretty damn seriously, and they do a heck of a good job, and they make it believable. And the zombies are treated... Savini puts out the screenplay, and it actually basically makes it a serious tone, which it's not portrayed in a silly or stupid way or even an overblown way. It's actually done very cool. As you guys remember, the original movie was done by George Romero and John Russo two guys from Pittsburgh that really created the whole zombie boom craze. But it did go under the radar, and I remember seeing commercials for this, and it looked pretty cool. And I remember seeing them whenever I was, younger. I did see the 1968 version, and I can remember that clearly. I was over at my Aunt Mary's house, and I flicked it on, and it started, and I remember being stuck to the television watching the whole thing. And my only thought was, this is cool. I didn't quite know what I was watching at the time, but all I knew is like from a black and white movie, it was pretty graphic. And this one is no different. It's shocking. You know what's coming, but you don't know how it's going to be portrayed. And Savini did a really awesome job with this. I mean, you got to figure he did all the makeup, or designed all the zombies, which there are a lot of them in this movie. He also directed, and I don't know how well this thing did at the box office, but I'll tell you what, guys, if you haven't seen it, this is a pretty cool updated version because, like I said, it doesn't deviate from the source. It stays true to the 68 version. And it is a lesser known movie. I think I caught this movie on Cinemax, and I think it was only aired once or twice, when we got it, when we got Cinemax. The other thing at the very end, in the 68 version, there was questions about racism. Why did Ben's character have to die? Ben is actually an African American. They say nothing about that in this version. They said nothing about that in the 68 version, but it was implied that Ben's character got killed in the end because the audience didn't want to see a black man, or an African American, I should say, be the hero. That's why it is. But there was no such thing. The character of Ben in the 68 version, the actor that played him, I forget his name off the top of my head, but said, look, I want to do this, and this is how I want to go. And they were like, okay, cool. There was no question of racism. There was no question of, should we let him live? He wanted that character to die. Tony Todd's character, you see him zombified at the end. So it's a little bit of a clear-cut ending on that. But definitely check it out. Night of the Living Dead, 1990, directed by Tom Savini. Now, when you look this up on Amazon, you're going to want to specifically type in Night of the Living Dead 1990. Because if you don't, it'll bring up the original in so many forms. And that's the other thing. When the Night of the Living Dead was released, it was released in black and white. And it went through several changes. It was originally called Night of the Flesh Eaters. And they couldn't go with that. So they went with Night of the Living Dead. Studio thought it would be a more profitable title. Its original title was called Night of Anubis, actually, which I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it would have been something cool. Then, years later, they made a colorized version, which I have never seen, and there's a reason I'm not going to watch that, is because I like things in their original form. And, being from the neighborhood Pittsburgh area, this is something that, we in Butler County and the surrounding counties outside of Pittsburgh, we can actually say, hey, we put the zombie genre on the map. Well, not me, but, Pittsburghers, put it on for Pennsylvania. We created that, and that's pretty cool. And if you look at so many other movies that copied off of this, it's amazing. And this one, like I said, it's definitely very true to the source material, which I really liked. And it does add the gore, like I just said. So if you missed it, you might want to check it out. It's definitely good. And the late Tom Towles as Harry, like I said, he plays the perfect antagonist. He fights, Ben's character at every turn, and it's just fun to watch until it culminates into a gun battle in the middle of a zombie invasion. So it's definitely cool to check out. Savini really did an awesome job. And that's really about all I can say. Like I said, if you missed it, I suggest you check it out. And you'll be glad that you did. And like I said, for the people that know what happened, I'm getting over it. And today, as a matter of fact, I got to go to a wedding, and it's going to be 90 degrees. Yee. And this is going to be the first wedding without our friend Chris. And it's going to feel really weird. But I know we'll get through it, and that's what, we do. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to really suck. But that's all I can say. Also, if you haven't checked out playing the Evil Dead video game, definitely jump on that. It's addictive. I cannot stop slaying deadites, and it's really cool. So, tomorrow we'll do a review of a movie called Don't Go Into the House. Little video nasty from the early 1980s. It's GW. Catch you later.